with us 5 minutes into the next hour, and then I had scheduled from last week an interview, part 2, with Lenny Dykstra, who has beaten J.P. Morgan in court. He's beaten the SEC over 200 times. Remember, they took his houses, claimed that he was, insolvent. I want to get him on to talk about mortgage fraud. We'll also talk about Charlie Sheen some. I was in a meeting for an hour and a half last night with Lenny and Charlie. We won't get into that private meeting. The point is we're trying to help Charlie out, too, navigate through all this stuff that's going on. So that's coming up in about 10 minutes from now. Going back to Max Keiser. Max, what do you make of the Wall Street Journal coming out today and saying why the dollar's reign is near an end? The Chinese have come out today and saying by the end of this year they want all trade, all purchases of Chinese goods to be in their currency. Why are they doing this now, and how big is this?
Well, they're doing it now because there's no denying it anymore. They can't hide it anymore, and everybody knows it. I mean, this is no secret. The dollar is no longer going to work as a world reserve currency anymore, and we're moving toward a new global currency grid. The dollar is going to play a lot less of a role. The key to understand is that when the time for the dollar to devalue comes, it'll happen in one day, and suddenly everything in America will cost 2 to 3 times more. And America will, the president will say, well, we had no choice. We had to devalue the dollar because it's going to help you, our export market, it's going to help you get jobs. Of course, the only jobs that America will be qualified for at that point will be cotton picking. So you're going to have, 20 million cotton pickers in America competing with cotton pickers around the world. So it's over. The Wall Street Journal just is stating the obvious. At some point, it's embarrassing for them to pretend like this is not the case. I mean, they have to at least recognize what's the obvious situation, so they can't hide it anymore. It's exactly what we've been saying on your show, and it's why gold and silver are hitting new highs. They'll continue to hit new highs because the fiat currency regime and the U.S. dollar, period, is finished. It's that simple.
Max, but the question is, why have they gone from denying that this was a certainty mathematically with what they've done with the dollar globally to now saying, yes, it's coming?
Well, I think that they're now preparing to set up the new banking facilities because, when the dollar crashes and it's replaced with another global currency of some type, an expanded special drawing rights, that's a huge piece of business for the banksters. They will have to convert U.S. dollars into SDRs, trade bonds based on that. Remember, before Davos, they said they needed to trade a $100 trillion new credit facility. That's huge fees for Morgan and Goldman Sachs, for the banksters. So they're preparing for a huge piece of business, and their Christmas bonuses next year will be based on dismantling the dollar and rolling out the new currency. So I would anticipate that within the next 3 to 6 months, the Wall Street Journal will introduce America to the new currency, and how great it is, how everyone's going to love it. And by the way, the banks on Wall Street are going to make a huge killing in issuing bonds in this new currency, and everything's going to be created in this new currency, and it's going to be fantastic. Of course, what they won't mention is that it's going to lower the purchasing power of Americans by 50 to 60%, and America will officially be in the second world and making its way to the third world.
Unless we finally kick the real government, it's illegitimate, but it's the government, this banking cartel, out of the country. It's either us or them.
Well, Alex, okay, the bridge right behind me here in Cairo. 1 million people walked over that bridge 4 weeks ago and toppled their government without a single shot, without any guns, with nothing. No money, no military, just with the will to be free. It happened right here. So you tell me there's a regime in America that's tyrants are ruling the country. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for, America? What are you waiting for? What is it going to take? How many of you have to go to jail? How many of you have to have all your money stolen? How many jobs have to be outsourced to Egypt and the rest of the world?
How many lies? Stay there. Into hour number 3, talking to Max Keiser, who is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a mathematical certainty. Every economist we've had on for more than 12 years, from George Humphrey right through to Webster Tarpley, has broken down that once they launch derivatives, it's a mathematical certainty that if the bankers can tie us to their fraudulent debt, it's over. And they've tied the dollar to it, and now they're reorganizing this new global SDR basket based in a new fiat system they control so they can buy up the planet through fraud. As Thomas Jefferson said, if we ever let private bankers control the issuance of currency and credit, our children will wake up homeless on the continent their forefathers conquered. Max, in the 4 minutes we've got left in this short segment, we better have a revolution of understanding. You know, Egyptians knew the tyranny they were under. People in Tripoli knew the tyranny they were under in Libya. The average American still doesn't understand that the Federal Reserve is the enemy. Though we've gone from Ron Paul having one co-sponsor to being able to pass his audit the Fed in the House, and though Gallup polls and others show over 80% do want to abolish it, people need to understand this is the #1 issue.
People of Cairo, trust JP Morgan and buy silver. People of Cairo, listen to me. Sorry, Alex, I was just trying to get my part of the revolution started. Yeah, listen, I was just listening to that commercial for Diamond Gusset Jeans about some people down in America crying. Boo-hoo! America's finished! Meanwhile, the people in Cairo are dancing in the streets because they just staged a successful revolution. They're dancing here. They're happy. They're full of pride and integrity that they overthrew a dictator. Stop crying. Stop whining. Stop being a big freaking baby. Revolt. You must revolt now, or you're going to be in prison, in the prison planet. You must do it now.
You're calling for revolt. You mean peaceful mass demonstration, kind of like what they're doing in Wisconsin, taking over the Capitol?
Well, Wisconsin's a great example. The people, I think the people in Wisconsin don't fully understand the issues that are at stake because they're defining their issues in that fake left-right paradigm that you talk about all the time. I think they need to understand that everyone in Wisconsin is a loser if Scott Walker, who's a representative of the banking kleptocracy and the Koch brothers kleptocracy, if he wins, everybody loses. Nobody wins if he wins. So they have to understand that mentality. And they're right to march on the Capitol building. 70,000 people did. That's spreading to Ohio. I say from Ohio to Cairo. From Ohio to Cairo, let freedom ring. And when it's a peaceful revolution, we saw it here. You don't need to be violently uprising. You don't even need a leader. All you need is an idea. And let that idea percolate on the social networks and act on that idea. Literally, it happened overnight here, Alex, in Cairo. I was talking to a guy, interviewed him for my show today. He said one day we were playing video games on the internet and didn't think at all about this movement or this revolution. And within one day, it just sparked within a day. The next day, they were in Tahrir Square, 1 million strong. It happened that quickly because all it takes is an idea now, and the social networking is able to give the voice in action, and it can happen quickly. So again, it was Madison, Wisconsin, Ohio, or all these states in America that are going bankrupt. People are imposing austerity measures. The bankers want Americans to eat the austerity measures for the mistakes that they made.
Max, we're out of time. Max, we're out of time. We appreciate you reporting from the Middle East for us. Where are you headed next?
I might be going back to Paris, or I might be going to Oman. I'm not sure. I'll know more tomorrow.
Well, if you do that, we want to have you pop back in this week, even if it's Sunday, from the 4 to 6 p.m. program. It'll be at like midnight your time. But, Max, we really appreciate you joining us. Is this not Buck Rogers science fiction? He's on a rooftop over the Nile talking to us live time from 8,000, 9,000 miles away from Cairo, Egypt, and we're here in Austin, Texas, bouncing off satellites all over the world. Max Keiser, always great hearing from you. We'll talk to you again very soon. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.